Hi there and welcome to a special edition of Counterflow. I'm James Deakin. About a month ago, I started this online petition that some of you may already be aware of, which is to install mandatory speed limiters on buses after that horrific accident on the Skyway where a Don Mariano bus flew off and killed 23 people. Now, since then, we've gotten about 13,000 signatures in the first month alone, which granted me an audience with the LTFRB chairman, Winston Hines. The chairman is very supportive and has agreed to actually implement this idea based, of course, on a good technical solution. Now, the thing comes up where people are all supportive about it, but they want to know what exactly is a speed limiter? How does it work? So I decided to contact the #1, or at least the oldest speed limiter manufacturer in the entire world, and one of the largest too in the UK. And we now have in our studio Ron Tagg. Welcome to the show, Ron, Marketing Director of Autokontrol.
Thank you, James.
You're welcome. Ron, you got to explain this to us like we're like 3 years old or 6 years old, right? A lot of people want to support this whole thing, but they don't know much about speed limiters because they're hidden. They hide in your engine and there are no visuals of how it works. Can you explain to us very simply, how does it work?
Very simply, right, that's okay. Very simply, a speed limiter is a device that controls the top speed of a vehicle. It does it electronically, and it's a completely active device. And when I say active, it is not a passive device like a GPS or a tachograph that requires administration. This is an active device that, once calibrated to the vehicle, restricts the top speed of the vehicle. The vehicle will not be able to exceed it. Speed limiters have been around for many, many years, probably about 30 odd years. In the UK, the late 80s, speed limiters were introduced, and they are literally, they're installed in millions of vehicles throughout the whole of Europe.
And you actually have been one of the first to make these speed limiters, 35 years, I believe.
Yeah, we've been doing this from our premises in Manchester for about 35 years.
Okay, so how would it work? I mean, if somebody said, I mean, can I have it installed in my car, or if we're going to talk about a bus, perhaps you can show us how it's done.
Yeah. Well, there are basically two types of speed limiter, and the type required is dependent upon the throttle linkage of the vehicle.
Throttle linkage meaning how the actual literally connects,
the
whether it's a cable,
yes,
or
between
a drive-by
the accelerator pedal to the fuel pump in terms of mechanical vehicles, or in terms of electronic vehicles, from the accelerator pedal to the engine management system.
Okay.
Gotcha. So there's basically two types. I've actually got a little slide here.
Let's take a look.
Which might explain it a little bit easier. You will see type 1, we call it the fuel flow speed limiter. Our system, we call it the System 80, which is a market leader in many, many countries throughout the world. Now, if we have a look at this, you will see it consists of two main items: an electronic control unit and a fuel solenoid valve. Okay. The fuel solenoid valve would go in the fuel line, and the ECU would then communicate a frequency signal to the solenoid valve to open and close it. It wouldn't close it completely. It will allow sufficient fuel to go through the valve to the pump, which will then feed the engine.
It's like strangling a person almost and just giving them enough air to breathe. But
yes, I understand where you're coming from.
I want to do that to the bus driver, see? I like literally strangle their necks. But this is the next best thing.
Yeah.
So, okay, after that.
So that's the first type. The second type is where the throttle linkage is electronic. If it's electronic, there will be no cable from the accelerator pedal to the fuel pump. In this case, we just install a ECU, which is programmed to recognize a speed frequency that we would get from either the gearbox sensor, the ABS, or a speedometer. And that frequency would be communicated to the vehicle's own engine management system. And the vehicle's own engine management system would in turn hold the speed at the required top speed. So there's basically just two types of system. Fuel solenoid valve system, engine management system.
All right. How hard is this to install?
It's quite a simple process. It does require an element of expertise. It does require a competent technician, an auto mechanic, auto electrician, a mechanic, a technician who is competent.
You could train these people.
Oh, we train all technicians.
So we were to get this approved here and passed into law, which Senator J.V. Ejercito has already filed a bill in the Senate. You could send your people here to train your distributors to do this in roughly how long?
Correct. They would, after they've been trained, on average, you'd be looking an hour and a half to install
per
the
bus.
limiter.
We're talking about 6,000 buses on EDSA alone in Metro Manila, so that's a lot of buses. All right, so it's easy to install with the right technician, but of course, anytime that you get approved, if you should get approved as a supplier, you would train the people. It takes about an hour and a half per bus. How much are we talking about?
Well, that is a question that I can't really answer because we will not be responsible for setting the selling price in the Philippines. That would be down to our distributors.
Okay, so you have some kind of a confidential agreement between manufacturers.
Of course, yes. Well, we are the manufacturer. We will supply the distributor.
But are we talking about the price of an engine or like
No, we're not talking about the price of an engine.
Okay, so I mean, somewhere along the line, I heard someone mentioning another. There was another brand I think was around $300, $400. Would that be far off the mark?
I don't think. Well, once again, I can't really comment exactly what the price would be. That would be the distributor's responsibility. But you wouldn't be too far off the mark.
Oh, okay. So we're basically talking about if it's around $400, let's say $300 to $400. We're looking at about 1 to 2 days worth of boundary, which is what the bus driver pays to rent the bus. I mentioned, you mentioned something off air that was very interesting. You also said that once you install this, you're pretty much going to expect 20% reduction in fuel?
Well, yeah, in addition to the safety aspect, the commercial benefits of fitting speed limiters include fuel savings. And we have lots of examples where operators all over, not just in the UK, all over the world, have experienced substantial fuel savings. 15, 16, 18, even as much as 20-odd%.
There you go. I mean, like, so a bus who uses how many hundreds of liters of diesel a week, you could be getting an ROI in as little as 1 week. So there really is, I'm basically trying to shut out all the excuses that I'm predicting.
Understand.
The resistance I'm going to get from bus companies, etc. But really, funnily enough, I haven't been getting any resistance from the bus companies because of the type of prices we're talking about. We're not asking them to make a substantial investment, and this investment can be made back in as little as a week. Next question, which every Filipino wants to know. Can it be tampered with?
Right. Our speed limiters are EU approved. And as a condition of becoming EU approved, they have to fulfill certain security criteria. They have to be tamper-proof, and all our systems are sealed after installation. Now, whilst no product on any vehicle will be 100% tamper-proof, the fact that we have this EU approval will suggest to all our distributors, our operators, and to the public that it is incredibly difficult to tamper with. I have a book here which is called Speed Management, a Road Safety Manual. This is the World Health Organization publication. In here it clearly states that all countries should consider fitting speed limiters.
Just raise that up a little so they can see this. Okay.
All countries should consider fitting speed limiters. And every government has got a copy of this. Now, also, it states that approved speed limiters should also only be fitted. Now, when I say approved speed limiters, there's various catalogues that we have, and in there are European Union approvals and various other approvals. This gives the LTFRB or the operators the confidence that they are fitting a system that is incredibly difficult to tamper with.
Wow. Okay. Now, let's say they tamper with it. How can you? Let's say we got somebody really good who tampered with it. How do you check?
Well, we have offered the Philippine authorities another little product called an STU, a system test unit. It's a small little unit that is mounted on the dashboard. And the police and enforcement authorities can plug in the testing calibration unit, which is this unit here.
Okay.
And this is the only unit that they need. We'll plug that into the STU, and displayed on the LED will be the speed it's set at. If it's been tampered with, we will also see that on the TCU and on the STU. There'll be a flashing light.
Is that expensive?
It's very, very cheap, the STU. Once again, it is up to our distributors to quote it, but you are looking $20, $30, $40, something like that. I don't know, whatever, it could be even more.
All right, well, there you go. We're talking chump change right now. Okay, I know it's going to save lives, you know it's going to save lives, but are there any statistics that back up what I'm saying, what I feel, what we all feel? Do they really save lives?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
It's proven that they save lives. I have here a graph on the decrease in road deaths in the United Kingdom after speed limiters were introduced. And you will see that it is literally a 50% fall in road deaths.
Simply by just adding a speed limiter.
Yeah.
That's it?
That's it. It's as we say, James, it's a no-brainer. It saves lives. It is proven in every country where speed limiters have been fitted to save lives. And it also saves fuel. There are commercial benefits for the operator. So I can thoroughly applaud the initiative of the LTFRB and, of course, yourself in pushing this through. And it is a no-brainer. There is very, very, if any, arguments against them. And that's why they're in a third of the world countries as a mandatory fitment.
There you go. You heard it here on Counterflow. Go to www.jamesdeakin.ph if you want to learn anything more about this. Ron, thank you very much for your time. Welcome to Manila. I understand it's your first time here.
First time here. Absolutely love it.
And you've been down our main highway. You know exactly why I'm pushing for this, right?
Yes, I do.
You've seen those animals out there.
I've seen them driving pretty fast on the Skyway as well.
Well, hopefully together we can put a stop to that.
Let's hope so.
Thanks for joining us. And for more of these, you'll have to be tuning in right here on NMF. And of course, go to the website and we'll be conducting as many interviews like this. Till then, drive safely, everyone.